In this video, we will learn about human brain. We know humans have the most evolved and complex and highly developed brain, and it weighs around 1.4 kgs and volume is around 1500 centimeter cube. It is formed of 100 billion neuron approximately, and it is very well protected by this bony structure or the case known as the cranium, which will protect it from external mechanical injuries. Now, if we see the protective layers, first is the cranium. Below the cranium, we have meninges. The three protective membranes together will be termed as meninges, and which are separated by CSF, that is cerebrospinal fluid. The meninges has the outermost layer, that is the dura mater, which is tough and fibrous in nature. Arachnoid matter, which is middle delicate membrane. Third, innermost pia mater, which is thin and highly vascular membrane. Now, cerebrospinal fluid will be a very important fluid which is found in the space between meninges and the brain. It serves many important functions like maintaining constant pressure in and around the brain, protecting the brain against shocks and mechanical injuries, also helps in exchange of nutrients and waste products between nervous tissue and the blood. Now coming to the main structural component, the brain matter or the entire structure is divided into two matters. One is gray matter, the other is white matter. This is based on the color in which they appear under the microscope. So gray matter is basically made up of the cell bodies of neurons, hence appears gray in color. White matter, on the other hand, is made up of white myelinated nerve fibers. Now, if we see the next structure, that is the divisions of the brain. Brain is the enlargement of anterior part of the spinal cord. It is divided into three parts: forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. So here we can see there are many structures. We will go one at a time. So first we will see about the forebrain. Forebrain has two main parts, cerebrum and diencephalon. Cerebrum is the largest part of the brain and is the most highly developed structure in humans. It covers all other parts of the brain and it is formed of two hemispheres known as right hemisphere and left cerebral hemisphere. And even though they are separated, they are connected by a structure known as corpus callosum. Now, the separation is so evident because of the deep median longitudinal groove known as cerebral fissure. So, in the center, you will be able to see cerebral fissure, and they are connected ventrally by corpus callosum, which is a thick transverse band of nerve fibers. The corpus callosum helps in transferring the information between left and right hemisphere of cerebrum. Now, if we see the cerebral hemisphere cut section, the outer layer has gray matter because of the presence of the cell body, and the inner layer is white matter because of presence of myelinated nerve fibers. So here we can see the gray matter on the outer surface of the cerebrum and white matter in the center. Now, cerebral cortex is less than 5 mm thick. It contains the cell bodies of neurons, highly folded and convoluted. Now, these folds and grooves are known as gyri and sulci respectively. Now, if we see the functions of cerebral cortex, it has three main functions. One is the mental activity such as instinct, thinking, memorizing, reasoning, consciousness, sense of responsibility and learning. That means it controls most of our thinking ability, reasoning out conscious behaviors, and also controls feelings like love, admiration, hatred. It also acts as a sensory perception, that is perception of pain, temperature, touch, sense of sight, hearing, taste and smell. Third is initiation and control of contraction of voluntary muscles. That is, if I have to move hand, that is the function of cerebral cortex. It also helps in movement and getting attention and so on. Now coming to the cerebral part, if we can categorize it, we have association area in the frontal lobe, that is in the front part, which will link all the information from the senses and will help in decision making. Then we have motor area sending impulses to the effector organ, sensory area to receive the impulses from the receptor. Then we have in the side the temporal lobe, which will help in hearing. At the end we have occipital lobe, which will help in the sight. Then we have parietal lobe, which will help in other voluntary actions, and also the cerebrum is said to be site of intelligence. Then if we see the second part, that is the diencephalon, it has two main parts, thalamus and hypothalamus, and also two endocrine glands, that is pineal gland and pituitary gland. Thalamus serves as a relay center for both sensory and motor impulses, which come from spinal cord and medulla to various parts of the cerebrum. It also regulates emotions and recognizes the sensory impulses like heat, cold, pain, light, and pressure. Second is the hypothalamus, which is located just below thalamus. It contains the reflex centers for muscular and glandular activity. It controls the food intake, thirst, and body temperature, that is thermoregulation. Hence, it is also known as thermostat of our body. It regulates the hormonal secretions of pituitary gland, which in turn controls various endocrine glands. So it also controls behavioral patterns of sleep and stress. Now coming to the second part, that is the midbrain. So midbrain is a very small part, as you can see in the picture. It has groups of nerve fibers which connects the forebrain and hindbrain. It has four optic lobes which are center of vision. It also serves as relay center for auditory information to thalamus and cerebral cortex. Third part is the hindbrain. It has three parts, that is cerebellum, pons varolii and medulla oblongata. Now if we see the cerebellum, it is also known as the little brain. Cerebellum is the second largest part of the brain but much smaller than cerebrum. It lies at the rear end of the cerebrum, partly covered by the cerebrum. Its surface has numerous furrows but not convolutions. Now cerebellum also has an outer cortex made up of grey matter and enclosing the centrally located white matter. Now cerebellum's function is to coordinate voluntary movements produced by muscular activities. It maintains the posture and balance of the body while walking, jumping, running, etc. The second part in the hindbrain is pons varolii. It is a thick transverse nerve tract. So here we can see the pons. So on the undersurface of the cerebellum, it connects the two cerebellums and helps in coordinating between them. It functions as relay center, transferring impulses from one hemisphere of cerebellum to another, so thus coordinating the muscular movement from the two sides. The third and the last part is the medulla oblongata. It is the posterior most part of the brain, also known as the brain stem. It is formed of white matter externally and grey matter internally, and it continues to form the spinal cord in the lower part of the body. Now medulla is a reflex center. That means it coordinates all the involuntary activities of internal organs like swallowing, peristaltic movement in alimentary canal, heartbeat, breathing movement, etc. Therefore, medulla is termed as cardiac center, respiratory center, vasomotor center, reflex centers for various reflexes like sneezing, coughing, vomiting, swallowing, so on. I hope this topic is clear to you. Thank you.